Well, pretty good day in the market yesterday, and a pretty good day to report earnings after the close. And there were beats, and there were big beats, and then there were big beats. We'll cover all those earnings reports. AI stocks ripping again on investment, big investment. We'll talk about those stocks as well. A little change of schedule today. Our guest is going to be at 9:10 today, so we're going to get a full hour of power in here, and some trades are obvious, and others are even more obvious. Let's get things started on pre-market prep.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. And this is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
All right, here we go, folks. Starting out in the green, strong close, strong after hours, up just off the highs of the session, 29 handles, 61.13 and a quarter. Folks, you can see not much resistance up here until you get to the 61.50 area. That'd be a big move. The buck bit under pressure yesterday, in the red today, only by a nickel, 107.81. TLT flat, just under 88. USO down only 31 cents here, 80.80. GLD up a buck 68, 254.81, trying to get back up to that all-time high. Silver, the laggard on the trade, up only 7 cents, 28.11. And Bitcoin, well, not really participating in today's rally, down $745 at 105,655. I got a couple fired up traders, investors here. Let's bring them on to the stage. That would be Triple D and Christian Fromhertz. Good morning, gentlemen. And wow, we got some lot to talk about here. But Dennis, I know you're fired up for today's show.
Yeah, lots to think about, lots to chew on here. But one thing I've always said is, like, when they throw the ball right up the middle, you gotta swing. When they throw you the curveball, you don't have to swing. It's in the dirt, you don't have to swing. When they throw it up the middle, swing, man. And, talking with Christian here, obviously on pre-market prep yesterday morning, Christian was talking about the really nice setup technically in Netflix. Then we went on the full discussion of, well, the Tyson fight numbers in there, because if they are, subscriber numbers are probably going to get a big pop. Well, Brent Slav in the background verifies it. Obviously, yes, the Tyson fight, because, years fly by for me. I can't remember. It was 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 1 month ago, So anyways, we did verify those numbers were going to be in there. And I'm like, okay. Well, I'm like, the subscriber numbers are going to be good. And the estimates were higher too. So they were kind of putting that in. But you knew when, like, the thing's going down, every one of my friends was like, where can we watch this? There was going to be a lot of, there was a lot of people that watched that fight. So you knew that number was going to be higher. Obviously, the NFL games helped it too. So just under all that analysis, talking with Christian made me comfortable to do something I never do. But I went long Netflix with an LOC order, buying it on the close intentionally, because it was reporting at 4 p.m. So I intentionally went long Netflix into the close. And obviously that worked out very well. The stock, I've got filled, and the stock was up 56 or 60 points in like 6 seconds. It was so fast. There was not even really, even a pullback here. It kept going. You know me, I always sell too soon. But I ended up taking 60 points on the trade, which was one of my best earnings trades in a long time. I know, Christian, you were playing it too. So talk about your trade.
Yeah, and good morning, everybody. And wow, what a trade. Congratulations. I mean, that is stellar. I think, by the way, that you should just retire from earnings season for the rest
I should.
for the next couple of weeks.
Don't trade any more earnings.
It's almost
I should have listened to you, because I did do good on the Travelers.
But it's almost like one of those situations with earnings. We don't have a crystal ball, but you try to put the probabilities in your favor and have that trading edge. And we talked about it a couple times in the show. We talked about it last week because, of course, we were previewing Netflix a little bit, and then we talked about it yesterday. And yeah, I mean, Dennis made a great point with, hey, wait a minute, these numbers should go up just because of this event. It was so popular, and there were so many people watching it, and so forth. So that was a really great assessment. I wish I would have followed you, because I wasn't expecting you. We talked a little bit before the close yesterday, and Dennis was like, I'm just gonna buy this thing outright, and that that was a great move. I wish I would have done it with you. I had a couple ideas, and as I had said yesterday on the show, I thought it would go up. I didn't think it was going to go up back to new highs. I thought maybe a little bit of overhead supply might come into the picture. So I looked at a couple different trades. I looked at a call butterfly, which I don't think is going to work. That's a cheapy trade to kind of put on. And then I also looked at the 890, 900 call spread. I mean, which is kind of crazy because, again, you don't know how much these things are going to pop, but it just seemed like we were going to get a positive reaction. Also, I like what Dennis said last week, just about how they're kicking everybody's butt. I mean, they're doing these live events, and it really kind of sets the bar higher for all these other streaming networks. Like, I don't know how other streaming services are going to keep up with them. They just seem like they continue to be in the lead and are doing things. And again, we talked a little bit about Amazon. Disney's up a little bit this morning too, which I don't. You made a good point. I saw your tweet yesterday. I don't think so. Do you?
Yeah, well, Disney. So let's just continue with the Netflix conversation. You did play it through options. Do you want to tell how you played it through options, Christian, than the Netflix play?
Yeah. So Netflix, it was the this week's 890, 900 call spread. So that will be, that's a $10 wide call spread. That cost about $380 to get into that. The other trade that I put on was a call butterfly, and that's a really low, that's something that's a really good tool to have in your toolbox, because some of these moves, Netflix was applying an 8.8% move. There's no free lunch, and I know that you guys have talked about this before. Trying to play options with earnings, like, I will never, unless the option is really cheap, I will never go long a call or long a put.
So much money.
Yeah, I'm always doing something where I'm using a spread, because then you're minimizing that big implied volatility move by selling. Yeah, and or a call fly, which is, again, the advantage of doing a butterfly is that it's going to be it's much cheaper when you do something like that, but it's also going to be, you have to be very precise, which is why it is cheaper than other option strategies.
Joel,
Yeah,
can you
I
give us
mean,
a
we know the
couple
numbers
here?
here, 427 versus 419. They beat on revenues, 10.25 versus 10.11. Global streaming paid memberships up 16%. Raise guidance. I guess the only thing they didn't do was announce a stock buyback or a stock
I think they
split.
They did.
I think they did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
Oh,
buyback.
Bill, yeah.
oh
Yeah.
man. Okay. Well,
They
they
did
did. Oh
everything.
yeah. I should have.
15 bill.
I should have. Yeah. Okay. Well, they didn't do the split, but they did. They did the buyback.
My buddy Jeff texted me right before the report. He's like, "Could they announce a split?" And I was like, "Well, I never thought about that either." So I'm like, "That's
Oh
even
my
more reason
gosh.
for me to want to go long."
Easy technical analysis on this one. If you have a target at 1,000 on Netflix, you're gonna get a shot at today. Pre-market high is actually over triple digits or four
What?
digits at 1006. So that's it, man. If you got a target in here, take it. I don't know where to buy, where to sell. Looks like some intra, pre-market support at 993, but I'll make that a half star. But Netflix is not the only company beating. Let's go to you.
Well, before we leave, we want to talk the peers. We want to talk the sympathy here. So we'll go to Disney first, and Disney's getting $1.38 pop on this. I think the Disney pop is ridiculous because, one, the Disney Plus product, obviously didn't benefit from the Tyson fight, didn't benefit from, the NFL games. People in the chat asking, why doesn't Disney Plus put, ESPN on there? I mean, you could do that, but then you're just cannibalizing yourself. They're trying to sell ESPN as a separate product here too. So do they really want to do that? I mean, a lot of the cable networks, ESPN's main, reason for getting cable. So I highly doubt they do that because they probably don't want to cannibalize themselves. I think the Disney Plus product, like I said, I unsubscribed because they raised the price so much. It went from $119 to $119 a year to 159 a year in Canada. It was a 30% hike. You know, I know inflation's only 1.8% in Canada, they say, but they obviously don't include the Disney Plus numbers because it went up 30% just like that. I had the product. I would have kept subscribing, but with that kind of a hike, I'm like, no, I'm unsubscribing. I had 3 other people that day tell me they were unsubscribing too. I think Disney Plus numbers are going to be no good at all. So, I mean, you're getting a pop here because everybody's like, ooh, if they're subscribing to Netflix, they're probably subscribing to Disney Plus too. That's just stupid algos and stupid people, in my opinion. I don't think, again, the Disney core business we're not talking about, and that's where they get most of their money. But if you're buying Disney thinking the Disney Plus numbers are going to be good because Netflix numbers are good, I think you're going to be mistaken.
Disney really hasn't been participating in the recent rally as of late. You did get a pop to 111.10. That's still a buck away. So you got to get back up to that. That coincides with your January 8th high of 111.11.
Roku also getting a pop here. Just quickly, Pierce, because I know you want to move on. Roku resistance probably up in that 85 area here. Does this get Roku going? I tried along on this a swing long and got shaken out. It's been really choppy in here, Christian. Like I thought it was flagging. You know what I did December, had the big move, and I saw the bull flag there around 83 to 85, and then obviously we went into the crapper in a lot of stocks. Roku taken down with, and I got stopped out. What are your thoughts here on Roku?
Pass. I think
that that's allowed. Swing a curveball. Don't swing at the curveballs.
I think if you went long on Roku yesterday for Netflix and you got the pop, I think you take the pop and you put it in your pocket and you're happy and you buy yourself something for today, but put the money in your pocket. The one other move too, which and Dennis, you mentioned this name last week too, is also streaming. Like if I'm going to buy anything on a sympathy effect, it would probably be Amazon because I really like the chart. I like what it did yesterday. Maybe a couple of these names now begin to run. Now this is kind of lit the wick in terms of, hey, this is a Mag 7 or is Netflix Mag 7 or I guess they don't include it.
They do Mag 8 with it. Magnificent.
I do grade 8. Yeah, I call
grade
it
8.
great. But I think that look at this Amazon has now a chance to begin to break higher and maybe run into that report because I know I like the run into the report trade. I know that you guys like it too.
Yeah.
But they report on the 30th, I believe. I don't know if that's right.
8
but
days.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this has a chance to maybe run because remember, like we used to see that a lot. I think in years past, I don't, maybe not that long ago, but you used to see all these names begin to kind of run into their earnings as anticipation of strong earnings. I don't think you get the same type of moves, but I think Netflix just upped the bar and said, "Uh-oh, if you're under position in some of these things, maybe they have that trade." And again, that's the easier trade. It's the easier trade to be in something that the unknown, you don't even have to mess with the unknown. So I would be watching for Amazon to start to run into their report.
Just real quick of note, Amazon is trading right near its all-time high of 233. That was buffeted by a high at 232.72. So right up there near that all-time high here for Amazon. And you see those Netflix numbers and you think about Prime and expanding. So Amazon, you said due to report on the 30th. So trying to take out the all-time high here in the pre-market session.
Okay, so the other obvious trade here, and Christian's got one too, which we'll get to in a second. So we got 3 obvious trades, but the captain obvious one yesterday was Oracle. I mean, we knew that Trump was going to make the big announcement, working the deal. It was announced. The stock was up intraday, up huge, $172, from $162. Was trading up all day, like very strong even after the open. But we knew they were coming on at night and going to be talking. It was not a secret. We knew that they were going to talk. And, Oracle, Ellison comes on, and it's on CNBC, the interview with Trump, and they start talking, and Oracle just starts exploding. So I did buy Oracle too off the obvious trade. I'm like, well, if Trump's going to stand up here and talk about Oracle, it's probably going to go higher. I had no idea it was going to run another 19 points. I mean, these algos, to quote Super Troopers once again, which I did yesterday, when they get the syrup in them, they get all antsy in their pantsy. That is what is happening here in so many stocks. They just can't stop buying. I mean, yeah, Oracle, it's good news that, Trump's mentioning, and obviously Larry Ellison's in Trump's good books and all of that. But I mean, we just saw a move from 162. We literally saw stock go from like a 3-month low 6 trading sessions ago to going to try to make a new all-time high in 7 days. It's a big move now. So I'm going to say at this point, if you're buying Oracle, after just popped $30, you're chasing it a little bit. Last night, 174, 175, 176 was a good buy. Now it's time, I think, to ring the register. But I mean, this is just, again, the obvious trade. Hey, Trump's going to talk Oracle tonight. Well, okay, it's going to go up. And it does. And it doesn't stop going up. Like, I can't believe it's went this far.
Just getting to fill in a gap. I believe that was the earnings gap. So if everyone is getting their money back from December 9th when you had that big drop down day, pick your poison here in this bar. That was a big bar day when you hit an all-time high of 198.31. All-time closing high, if that was your target, 191.69. That's where we're trading right now. But I think you got to think after, getting caught up here, thinking, oh, we are definitely going through 200 and then almost kissing 150. I think I'd have to agree with you here. Another one with this one, if it runs up off the open, goes up another $3-4 and then comes down through that opening price, you may get some people heading for the exits. Dennis, would you want to stay on the positive of
we want to stay with the Trump trade here for
right,
a minute,
right.
because it wasn't just Oracle last night. It was so many stocks, and I don't know if you were watching, Christian, but it was just insane. So obviously, they had he had 3 people, had Sam Altman on, and SoftBank CEO was on as well. So that's who was actually standing there with Trump. But then they just started mentioning other stocks. Microsoft caught a mention. Boom. I watched Microsoft, which is obviously a huge market cap, doesn't really move around a lot, go from 428 to 440 in about 5 minutes. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, all of a sudden we just think, Microsoft is like, and Microsoft's been out of favor too, really. It's not even a stock that's really been in favor. Kind of has been going sideways and doing nothing. And then bang, it goes up. Then they interview Dan Ives after, and Dan Ives starts dropping names. And Dan Ives, we know Dan Ives is super bullish everything. We love Dan Ives, by the way. But he's been correct on all this. But I mean, it's nothing Dan Ives hasn't said before. Al goes to like, this is new information. Drops Dell. Dell goes from 113 to 115 in a snap of a fingers. Dan Ives, not Trump. Dan Ives. Not even Dan Ives is a separate interview. It's just the interview following the Trump. Mention Salesforce. Salesforce goes from like 327.5 to like 330. Snap of a fingers. Now it's 332. I mean, it's unbelievable how much, just an AI mention. It's like, oh, we didn't think of Dell. Oh, we didn't think of Salesforce. I mean, what is going on, man? Like, this is just getting really ridiculous. Christian, like, what are your thoughts here as you just start seeing all these tech stocks explode because apparently they're AI trades?
Yeah, I didn't realize too that so not only is he kind of is Trump like boosting the investment, but remember that the previous administration, Joe Biden, has actually put on like AI guardrails. So, sometimes we talk about regulation and, when, a Republican comes in office, one of the things that could happen is possibly that the regulations are going to loosen up. And normally we think about like financials and that type of thing because that's been in the spotlight. But you kind of had to think about it too with that is that there's actually been a lot of regulations on AI. So the fact that he did a complete like 360 in terms of not only saying, hey, we're going to take those AI guardrails off, but we're actually going to like we're going to boost it. And that was kind of like Tinder yesterday, and like a stock too. I mean, talk about the timing. I didn't trade this one yesterday, but this TEM, which is an AI stock, this one went all the way up to like, I don't know, 56, 57 bucks.
That was the Nancy buy. That was
Yeah,
the
that was
Nancy
the
buy.
Nancy buy. And oh my goodness, because where this was pre-market yesterday when we spoke about it, but talk about being in the right place at the right time for this stock. Wow, just an amazing move.
Do you know what this stock hit in the after hours? Or no? Oh, that can't be right. What? No, this morning, this stock traded 56.81.
The overnight traders are just crazy, Joel. They're like, you think the algos are crazy? Those overnight traders, they're the algos on steroids, man, because you know why? It's so much less liquidity out there, so they can really push price around. I mean, there's a play, I've said this for years, just fading stupidity in the overnight session. I mean, it used to always start at 4 a.m., and I used to set my alarm at 3:30 to get up to prepare for the 4 a.m. open because you knew there'd be like stocks that were just doing just crazy things. And I would just be selling short into the ridiculous moves, buying into the ridiculous dips all over the place. I had Spencer 10 years ago, and obviously when you have children, it becomes a different story. You actually start to need sleep. So I really haven't been trading that overnight session. But I'll tell you, if you're young, there's some opportunities in the overnight session. I'll tell you what else. It's not chasing those moves. It's just blindly fading. And sometimes they go. I mean, you can be blindly fading at 52, 53, and it's 58. You're like, what the hell is going on? I mean, you got to kind of wait till the momentum turns. I always say when you're shorting stocks, don't short them on the way up. Kick them when they start to turn and roll over. That's the play. This TEM is the same story. I mean, you get the capitulation up to 58, and then it's down to 57, 56, 55. Like, okay, there's the rollover. And then 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49. So kick them on the way down. Shoot them in the back. That's the way you short stocks.
On that bracket, that 15-minute bracket, over almost 70,000 shares traded. There was some volume.
There's size, man.
Yeah.
There's size. Opportunities.
A couple
that doesn't even include where it was on Robinhood. I mean, that's just the 4 a.m. session, Joel, at $58. Who knows where the hell it went on Robinhood because that's not tracked in the CT consolidated tape. Not till we see the prints starting to hit at 8 a.m. So you could maybe look at some 8 a.m. prints and maybe it'll change. But I mean, that's not even considering that. What were you going to say, Christian?
I was going to say, and then of course, you know, the other bigger stocks, Nvidia finally like moving back to where it sold off a couple weeks ago on that event. It had such a harsh reaction and such a big rejection back on what was the date for that day? Like right around, I think January 7th, was it?
It was the 8th that it had that. You're right. The 7th. The 7th is when it hit its all-time high at 153.13, sold off to 140.14, and then actually last week got under 130, and then right back up to the top of the range here.
So and you had another obvious trade here too. We can move away from these for a second here, Christian. Talk about the other obvious one, which actually Spinner coincidentally mentioned in the chat as well.
I'm not sure which obvious. Maybe
GEV.
Yeah, the not so obvious, but yeah, just the power generation companies, which have been absolutely on fire. You know, I had somebody ask me just every once in a while. I'll have somebody ask me about like, hey, what kind of stocks do you think are going to be good right now? And it's tough to say. Like, I still like the power generation companies, but man, these things have been on such a run. And GEV reported GE Vernova, and of course, like I'm also talking about VST and CEG, those names. But GEV did have earnings. I don't know if we want to dive into those earnings because they weren't particularly great.
No, the earnings weren't good. I'll give you the numbers. It's a serious miss here. $1.73 versus $2.55 and $10.59 billion versus $10.78 billion. That's a miss and miss. And if this was a normal stock, you're like, they're gonna freaking hammer this thing. Well, they did freaking hammer it, but you can't stop the AI trade, and it's got the AI buzz, and people are like, okay, the quarter wasn't that great, but next quarter will be better because AI is everything to this market here right now. So we're buying every dip on every AI company no matter what. And they did, and they came in and bought this dip, and the damn thing's trading higher now. Miss earnings, buy a landslide, and trade higher. Welcome to Wall Street.
They reaffirmed guidance though for the year. So
yeah, the next quarter is going to be better. So we don't care about the past. Reaffirm. They didn't raise it though, Joel.
No, I don't.
Yeah, we'll be better next time. We'll do better next time, guys. You know, we'll get them next time. You just lost the big game, but we'll do better next time.
Yeah. No sweat on that one. There was a dip in this one. If you were a buy the dipper out there, 386.01. and then boom, rebounded. Let's see here, trading at all-time highs. So there you go. The top of yesterday's range, if you want to look, if you're trying to do this on a gap fill, 417.21, and this is a wild child here. Pre-market high, 429.80. You want to stick with this theme here, or you just want to go find some more earnings beats?
Well, I don't mind sticking around with the AI. Are we done the AI? Did we cover them all? There's like 1,000 of them now, though, is the problem. Is there any other ones you want to cover, Christian?
I would just say, like, and sometimes you get sympathy moves with this stuff, but the story, right? It's a story market right now, which is, I've heard you guys classify it that way, but VST didn't even like budge, and you would think maybe a couple names would have kind of dropped on GEV, but this VST is right back at is at new highs. So, I think at this point for these names, like, just you got to watch if you're not in them. You just kind of have to watch for a dip in some of these things, but there's just amazing the power generation names. I bought a name last week that I had not traded before. It just looks pretty good in terms of like getting right back out to the new highs. That's TLN. Talon Energy. So if you're looking for like a different name or something in the space,
Yeah.
like a little bit outside of the VST and the CEG and the GEV, because those are so popular,
Yeah.
TLN, and then the other name too that's on the outskirts of that is NRG, which got an upgrade yesterday. So again, just having these watch lists, I think, are kind of like what you want to do, and just understand that, like, hey, you get headlines, you want to go to that watch list of names, like, and PWR is another one too that made it out to new highs yesterday. So, just have these, right? I mean, have these in a spreadsheet, have these in your notes, and say, okay, power generation names, what am I looking at, right? And
Group them all together.
yeah.
Like, I love the
Oh.
relationships. I love it when you give us more, relationship trades here, Christian. So, write those down. It's all about relationships. I mean, that's what this market's all about, is relationships. And just to talk this overall market, when you have this many tech stocks ripping higher, ARM Holdings, is another one. We didn't even give it a mention, but, it's ripping, off the AI mention in the Trump trade. But so many tech stocks trading this high, much higher. And then you got the Qs only up $4 and the SPY only trading up 0.5%. Right away, when you see that, there's going to be rotation out of other stuff. So remember, I always talk about my QQQ non-tech trade. So there are about 23 stocks, 25 stocks in the Qs that aren't really tech stocks. Those are the ones that typically go down on a day like this. So don't be surprised if Costco shows weakness here today. T-Mobile, TMUS, which is in the QQQ, probably shows weakness today. Comcast, yes, we know, is great. Netflix numbers probably shows weakness here today as this rotation. Again, it might switch. It could switch all of a sudden. If the tech starts selling off, they'll buy these other ones. But these stocks are inversely correlated on these days with your mega cap stocks, with your tech stocks. So just keep that in mind. There's a bunch of them. You could go to, whatever, QQQs, look at the components, but Mondelez, like MAR, CSX, AEP. I've got the whole list. So just having stocks, those lists make me money because I know right away that there's probably going to be weakness in those names.
Well, here's one too. I mean, this is another name that reported earnings this morning, and that's J&J. And to your point, what is happening in some of these names is very different than the others, because I think J&J had decent earnings. I don't know, Joel.
They did. They
Yeah.
did. They beat 204 versus 201. Slight sales beat, 22.52 versus 22.44. Sales, I mean, they get okay guidance here, but just where's the AI in baby powder?
Where's the AI in J&J? I don't see an A in that ticker symbol. I don't see an I in that ticker symbol. If they change it to J&J AI, we'll change our mind. But right now, they pop this on the earnings. It's like, no, this is not an AI stock. No, we don't want defensive crap. We're trying to make millions in minutes. So 3.42% dividend? Who wants that?
Who needs that?
That is why J&J is selling off. It's not. They'll find a fundamental reason. They'll say, oh, they said something like this. That's all stupidity, folks. That's media crap. The reason J&J goes down is the AI trade is hot today, and the J&J hot is not AI.
pair of lows at 144 on the daily. So if that was your target or you were trying to buy there last week, little confluence, didn't quite get there in the pre-market low, 144.55. So some potential support if you're looking for a gap fill in J&J. Not too far away. The bottom of yesterday's range is 147.05. So there's your J&J report. You want to talk, if we're talking old time stocks, let's talk about Procter Gamble. Procter Gamble trading up $5.
Let's bucket it. So that is throwing a hole in our thesis here. I'm short Procter and Gamble, hoping it's going to pull back in. But PG is not working out for me at this moment in time. So just a day trade here, tend to cover it, but hoping I'm going to get a little bit more weakness here because P&G is not AI. Similar story to the J&J, but the earnings were good here at PG.
Yeah, wow.
So you're telling me there's no animal spirits in Procter and Gamble, and Abbott's another one too that looks like what happened to J&J. So no animal spirits in this.
There is an A in Abbott. I see an A.
That's it. That's all you got, huh?
Got this cough that never goes away. Every time I laugh, I cough. That's awesome.
Okay, Abbott trading. They had numbers too. Let's check Abbott Labs. Doing some old time stocks here. They in line on the EPS. Slight miss on the revenues. A little bit lower guidance there. So the Abbott out of favor here. This has been in a trading range for a while. Boom, boom, boom. No good levels here. If you're looking at your 2-day low in this one, that comes in at 113.39. So you did get almost there in the pre-market trading. You bounced $1.50, so keep an eye on that. For Abbott Labs. So did we do the UAL earnings? No, we did not. UAL, they beat. People are flying. Beat 326 versus 299. 14.70 versus 14.4, and then they gave some good guidance here. So UAL soaring here to a new all-time high. Delta going along for the ride. So airlines, after all those years of underperformance, really perking up here.
People are doing stuff. People continue to do stuff. And I mean, we've talked about this outperformance in UAL. It's in your acronym punt. I mean, none of our acronyms are doing that great, to be honest with you here. Let's call it, what it is. Like, obviously Palantir has been a good one for you because you were playing the short side. But, I had AMD in my fade trades been working pretty well. Although right now we're not fading. We're just going straight up. So that's not even working. AMD is about the same spot. Dell's trying to come back, but I'm down with the Dell. And then what was the other one I had? Etsy. I haven't even looked at that one. I'm not long Etsy. It's just hanging out down a little bit maybe in from where I made the call. But I was reaching on the E. I wasn't convicted. I don't own it. I just wanted an E in there, and I was looking for something that could maybe play catch up. So not convicted in that name. I almost want to take Etsy. That looks like a Head and Shoulders. I almost want to take at this moment in time. If I could, I'd take Etsy out of my acronym.
You take Etsy out.
I'm not long it. Never was long it. I just wanted an E in there, and I thought this was maybe a setup here, but I'm gonna be stuck with it because we do these acronyms. We've already done them, but I don't like the Etsy.
I think Christian, you're doing it okay, isn't it?
Yeah, it got off to a rough start, and by the way, I think it's so hard to do these acronyms.
Impossible. 12 months out. Impossible.
I like the chance that you can have a mulligan, right? So in your acronym that you can decide you could take one name out and one name in, as long as you can make the acronym still work somehow. Maybe you got to substitute an E with another E or something like that.
Energy.
But mine was quasi, so I got
Let's go through those.
What were the stocks?
So I picked the quantum ETF. So by the way, as soon as I mentioned the quantum ETF, that was when Jensen put the
he wonged you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Major wong.
It was literally like the next day, and I was
you went from right to wong.
Yeah. But I did. So the other one that I picked, so quasi was just the ETFs, and I did the A in the quasi was aerospace, and I picked XAR for that. I couldn't find an X to put in the
That's good.
In that, but look at what XAR is doing. It jumped out to new highs yesterday on Rocket Labs going up, on Lunar going up. I mean, this is just another momentum area of the market. I mean, unbelievable. And the reason why I brought up both of these, the way that you could play with ETFs, because I think it's very difficult to stay long a Rocket Labs or a Lunar. And I've gotten shaken out of a couple of these things because they move so fast and their percentage moves are huge. Rocket Labs, I think, went up. Let me just bring up the percentage. RKLB went up
15% yesterday.
How much was it?
15 or 16%, I think. Maybe even more.
It was 30%.
30? Was it 30?
30% in one day. So they
can
can move that way on the downside too. So you think just positive, but that's too much risk for me. Unless you've got two eyeballs on these names at all times. But the way that these things could move, because if you go back a week ago, Rocket Labs went down 11%. So just the magnitude of these moves is a bit unsettling and tough to trade. For a day trader. You got to be loving it. But if you're more of a swing trader and you walk away, you go get coffee, and all of a sudden these things move 10-15%. So I like trading it with the ETF because that's an equally weighted ETF, that XAR, and this way it's got those names in there. And if you're going to see a further move, which that was one of the catalysts yesterday, Trump trade yesterday too. XAR jumped out to new highs, and I remain long that name. And
what's the quantum ETF? You said XA
QTUM.
Okay, pretty obvious.
And it's come back. I mean, these stocks have come back a long ways. I mean, we called the bottom perfectly. I did not think that this momentum would just sustain like it did. I mean, RGTI is back at 14.5. When it was at $5.50 or $5.60 when I bought it.
Yeah. Oh my Lord.
$5.60 at 6. I said it may never see 20 again. Hell, it might see it 10 days later. That just shows you that this market quickly forgets and the story starts to get hot again. And I cannot believe how much these things come back. So I definitely sold this way too soon. Called the bottom perfectly.
Oh my
sold
God.
Out way too soon. I did not think.
And not even a week ago, I don't think that you called.
A week ago. And you liked it. It lined up. Me and Christian both agree on something. That works out pretty well often, it seems like. The Netflix too. So let me know when you agree with me.
Okay. Sounds
this
good.
is RGTI getting back half of this move here. Traded up in the pre-market up to 1481. But pick your poison in here, right? You got if you got the patience to hold out for a gap fill here at 1755. I mean, that's $3 away. Maybe not today, but and make sure it holds 1350 on that's the exact halfway.
Let's go through every one of these. Just we don't do charts, but just mention them all. So you got like QUBT, QBTS. I'm just going through the ones that I have. I want to make sure I have them all because I'm writing them all down. You got to have these relationships, folks.
IONQ is the one too.
That one.
And it's kind of the less volatile one.
Yeah.
IONQ, kind of your leader, kind of less volatile. The ETF again is QMT. What's the ETF?
QTUM.
QTUM.
Yeah.
Quantum. Is there any other ones, folks, that we're missing here? Give them to us. They got a few. They're popping more at us here. ARQT? No, that's not it. They're just giving us ticker symbols here.
All right, hey, guys, keep the ticker signals coming in because our guest today, as you know,
QMCO. That says quantum. That's got to be good. QMCO. Not saying it's got to be good for this relationship. I'm not saying it's going to be good overall, but I don't know the chart.
Yeah, this ARQQ is not one that I've traded before, but that's
ARQQ.
Yeah,
writing them all down. Look, I just reach and I write. This is how you make money, folks. I'm telling you right now. Write stuff down.
One more, one of the most obvious ones too. It's not a small cap; it's a large cap. It's one of the Mag 7 names.
As a quantum name?
Google. They're making a quantum chip.
Google.
Yeah, Google. So.
But problem is Google has 99% everything else, so it's really not getting the love. But Google sets up okay. Should we just go long, Google?
I didn't like how it closed. I mean, it
popped
you're yesterday.
Right.
But
closed on the low.
You got to.
And it didn't get mentioned. I didn't hear him mention Google. Trump don't mention it. You got problems, man.
Right.
You got problems when Trump don't mention you. Tesla's down $4 because there was no Elon Musk up there. And Altman's up there, and I don't know if Altman and Musk are still getting along or not. Didn't they have a fight or something, Altman and Musk, at one time? Was there a feud there? Am I making that up? Did I dream that up? Did I pull
No,
a
I
Joel
think that there
Elconin and
is.
confuse dreams with reality? But I thought Altman was arguing
Yeah. That
at one
Musk
point in time.
Musk is suing him.
Yeah, I don't think they get along, do they? Question, chat.
No.
Altman, he
Yeah.
hates.
No, yeah. Like
I must have pissed Musk right off. You want to know why Tesla's down $5? Because Sam Altman was standing up there with Trump. Musk is probably not overly pleased on that one. They don't like each other. See, I didn't make that up. I thought that. Yeah, there's a lawsuit. Okay, so keep that in mind. Maybe that's all made up. Maybe they've forgiven each other. I know Bezos and Bezos and Musk are best friends now. So
it's an AI soap opera.
It is. You could write a movie about it. Do a series, Netflix documentary. Yeah, AI soap opera. The love and the hate. Okay, moving on. Our guest, if you're asking, guest is delayed, coming on at 9:10. Who is it, Joel? From Wedbush?
It's Kevin Merritt over there at Wedbush Securities. He's going to talk the Trump trade. We'll talk macros, and we've got a lot to cover with him. I'm taking down all these symbols here, folks.
All of them. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quantum stocks. I left Google on the outside because.
Can we do one more earnings name from last
year?
Sure. It's not a big mover, but Interactive Brokers, IBKR. I went long a little bit of this thing, and it's working out. It's no Rocket Labs, but it's no Netflix either. But it's moving in the right direction. You could have a possible breakout in not Rocket Labs, Interactive Brokers, IBKR. Also in the space too, which we can cover both of these if we want. But Schwab also got an upgrade. Not a great price action for Schwab yesterday, but I do like Interactive Brokers. I'm going to try to stay long a little bit.
You talked into it, Christian. I was just talking with Christian there before the close. We were talking about the Netflix, and like he was saying, I'm playing. I was like, I'm going to go long it too. And then you're like, what about Interactive Brokers? What do you think? And I was like, I think they beat. I'm like, I don't know if I have the guts to go long and ahead of the report, but I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm going long Netflix. Interactive Brokers ain't going to move as much as Netflix. So I actually did buy IBKR on the close there too. Sold it out last night. I picked up, I think, 3 or 4 points on it. Didn't get up to the 200. It kind of just meandered around 195, 196, 197. I sold it in there. So I'm already out. Didn't play with options. Played it with flat out stocks. But I don't know. Stocks making new highs. I know I trade there a lot. I give them a lot of money. I wish I would have been invested in it when I moved my account over there.
Yeah, that had we talked about the breakout on the monthlies, and it did that. It had a pair of highs of 193.50. Took it out yesterday, 194.87, closed a little bit weaker, but that was still an all-time closing high. And then Interactive Brokers over $200, up 810, 200.93. Pre-market pretty close to the pre-market high, 202.88 that pre-market high. Dennis, are you seeing anything? I'm just curious about Netflix out here. Is there any, you seeing any? I mean, trading huge volume here. You see anything out there? Is it just patient buyers and sellers? Because this 1,000 level, it's been hanging out here for a while.
What they do, they get to their point where they're happy at. You know why? Because how many freaking calls and puts are probably all open at that strike? Probably a magnet level, 1,000 magnet. You get to these big whole psychological numbers, all kinds of optionality there. Probably a magnet. Is any analyst doing stuff? What do you think, Joe? Of course they are. They're all chasing it this morning. Do you know how many freaking price target raises there are? Okay, let's start. This is fun. Analyst chase price. We talk about it. Canaccord Genuity upgrades Netflix to buy. Thank you. Netflix price target raise TD Cowen. Netflix price target raise JP Morgan. Barclays upgrades Netflix to equal weight. Citigroup Netflix. We expect shares likely trade higher. You think? Netflix price target 1,200 at Jefferies. Netflix price target raise at Evercore. Netflix price target raise at Deutsche Bank. Netflix price target raise at Morgan. Netflix price target raise at B of A. Netflix price target raise BMO. Netflix price target raise GS. Netflix price target raise Bernstein. I'm getting tired here. You guys want to take over?
Netflix. You didn't get to the highest yet.
Needham, Moffett, Wedbush, Baird, Guggenheim, Loop, upgraded, Rosenblatt, upgraded, Benchmark. Do you think they chase price? That is ridiculous. There's got to be like 30 of them.
Rosenblatt put the street high this morning, 14.94. Where they're coming up with that price, I don't know. It's probably in some model or something like that.
Why didn't it go 14.92? If you're going to go 14.94, you better go 14.92 and talk about discovering Netflix or something like that. Why do I not rate these things? 14.94. Useless number.
Slavadu's asking, why do we need to know about all these late calls from analysts? And it's just adds fuel to the fire when you have you just mainly it's a little warning to the shorts out there, and that you're going to get these kind of moves, analysts that were behind the 8 ball. And Dennis, congratulations to you. I mean, we talked about this with the Brentster too, long ago when Tesla was way down here, how all these companies had, low, they're going to have to move their ratings or have to do something. And some of them have switched back to the good, but that was one thing. People are asking about Tesla here. It is trading down today, but way off yesterday's low at 406.31. So, you know what? It's interesting. You're getting some consolidation here. And a couple closes at the 425 area. So see if it can build a base here and get back up to that all-time high. What was the stock that had the bad news, had the short report, and then came out with like a weak response yesterday?
FTAI.
What was? Oh yeah, did you see what they did to that thing?
Oh my God, yeah.
They whipped it, bounced it a bit at the end.
But that's not the response.
F.
That's not the response that you want to see from a company on a short report. And these things, there will be more short reports in different names, but take note, like that's not how you want to defend your stock. Basically saying that you might have to reinstate your 10Q or your 10K or whatever it is, and the stock just got hammered. So this goes from darling. And, it's one of those situations too, is like once it begins to break, you try to just get out of the way, but that's a colossal move. And that is in that aerospace group that I mentioned too. But it's amazing too, that stock is not really affecting the group so much, but they've got some issues. And again, it just echoes to me the SMCI all over again.
It is SMCI part 2. SMCI is trying to perk up. I got a little long position in it. I don't know how long it will stick with it, but just perk it up a little bit here. It looks interesting. The only problem is you never know what BDO is going to say. So it's, it could be good, could be bad. It's still a binary event when BDO eventually says what they're going to say, but we don't know when they're going to say. We don't know what they're going to say. It's kind of fun. Very small position, small size.
Can I ask a question for the two of you guys? Why, like for one of these reports where, okay, they're getting a new auditor. So that was back in what, November, right?
Yeah.
How long is this? Like, doesn't that mean that if it's taking this long, that it's negative? What do you guys think?
No, only BDO knows.
But like, how much longer do you think that? And that's why the stock has gone down too. I mean, it went right up to $50, which is what we called on the show because it filled that gap.
Yeah.
And since then, the stock is down. It's down huge, and you haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
And again, like I think the way, if you're going to say that you're waiting for some positive news here, again, I would go back to the option market and maybe say, at this point, like if you're expecting something positive,
safer.
And then you don't have to watch, and then you could just say like, hey, I'm not going to pay attention to how much further this thing goes down.
Yeah.
You've got something in there, and because I just think watching these things and watching them not do anything while the rest of the market is flying. There's something that I was talking about this yesterday, something called opportunity cost, right? With all these names that we've been talking about and the Oracle and some of these big moves that you're seeing with animal spirits, right? If you're trying to find the bottom in something like this, you're kind of you're wasting time because you're missing the fun part of the market right now, which it is a very much, and I don't know how long it's going to last, but it is a story environment. So trying to do something so difficult, do the things that are easy. And if you
great point.
Thank you. And if you're compelled,
I might just go sell my SMCI right now.
Oh no. But if
off and again.
If you're compelled to take a shot on it, put a call, position on, and say, and forget it, and say that's your lottery ticket, and then move on.
It's a great point. Wasting time is what you're doing here. It's the same spot it was in December. We're just wasting time until we hear what BDO has to say. If we don't have the D-Day, I mean, they are due to report in February, so you'd think like maybe they're going to get something out, in the next week or two here, a couple weeks, but we're still waiting.
It is so quiet down here. It's winding up, but you could have said that, well, look at it in mid-December. I mean, someone's making a stand at $30. Obviously, here you've had several lows there going back since December. You mentioned the gap fill, it did get that, but right now someone's defending the 30 level big time, trading up $1.50. But I want to talk about a stock that's in the red here, and I don't think that Apple did it get spared a downgrade today? What? Look at that chart here for Apple. We talked about the 220 level yesterday. It did get a little bit under that, 219.38. So we gave you a good level there. Maybe get a couple lows in the area. But what was interesting when we were talking about this stock with Tommy Lackey. And you mentioned that lack of innovation, this, that, and well, he's like, it's a service company, and if they can keep grinding out gains, but they haven't been. So nice setup in Apple here. Big decline from 260 to 220 going against the market. See if you get a couple more lows in that same area for Apple. Do you guys have the date when Apple reports?
No, not in front of me, but
I
Christian might
have.
be able to grab
Let's
it
see.
fast.
I can get it for you.
Yeah.
Should
okay.
be should be I also have the 30th. So sometimes these dates change, but it sounds like that week, which
Big
is
week. They all go. 5 of them go in 3 days. The
Yeah.
5 of the Mega 7 go in 3 days. It's always like crazy town those 3 days. Sometimes I always joke. I'm like, next earnings season, I'm going to take those 3 days off just to have a breather from it because it's so crazy. I'm like, I don't need the stress. But I never do, and I always get down and dirty and get crazy with it. But yeah, I mean, Apple bounced where it needed to bounce yesterday. That's the good news. We talked about the 220 level. It basically bounced at the 220 level. I know it got through at 219.38. They always cut through it a little bit, just like they did back in October. But it bounced where it needed to bounce. So I would say that's the one good piece of news. The bad piece of news is Trump didn't mention Apple yesterday. The bad piece of news is Tim Cook didn't give a donation to Trump until after he got elected. So, I mean, at this point in time, I'm not sure Tim Cook's in the best. He's not negative, but I don't think he's in the class of where obviously where Elon Musk is here. So I think Apple's guilty until proven innocent. I'm going to say that valuation's still stretched, even though it's come off significantly here. I'm just going to, if I'm trading it, I'd be trading it off the 220 level. But if that gets breached, right that low down, 219.38, takes that out, then you're thinking down to 213, 214. So it's got to keep holding that 220.
Yeah, and you got a gap fill too, right? A potential gap fill from yesterday.
It's down again.
Yep.
I mean, everything's ripping here today. Every tech stock's ripping.
Yeah.
They got to sell something. If they're going to buy Microsoft up $8, they're going to buy Netflix up 127. They're going to sell something. Well, sorry, today, folks, it's Tesla and Apple that are taking it on the chin.
Do you think the highs of the day are in Netflix and Oracle?
No, probably not. Who knows?
I think so. Netflix.
Oracle's come down 191, where we just said it's down to 188.
Well, that was the Oracle.
I think so. I think at Oracle. I don't know Netflix. Right, I think Oracle put the high end.
I mean, what more could you ask for with the Oracle if you got caught on this day and you had a gap fill at 188.93 and it's traded at 190? I mean, look at the market cap that was wrapped. I mean, if you wait to get into this bar, well, hello, you got a lot of people. And also the things with these things, they get the investment, when, how long does it take to filter through into profits? And I think Netflix got over that $1,000 level here. So keep an eye on that. The high, I mentioned the pre-market high, 1006 in Netflix. We got Tesla trading in the red. We got J&J trading in the red. Apple in the red. Bitcoin in the red. Dennis, you seeing any other significant red out there?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a rotation station here today. So when they're buying the AI stocks, and they're buying the tech stocks, they're not buying the banks, they're not buying the staples, they're not buying energy stocks. You look at energy, they're all down here too. So as much as we've been talking about the value trade picking it up, a day like today is the opposite. IWM is red. That's 2,000 stocks not up here today. So don't just think everything's going to be up. It would not surprise me if IWM has had a pretty big run. I mean, we just bounced significantly here. Now we have AI day here happening. I think you're probably going to show some relative weakness here in a lot of names.
I have two more unusual symbols for you guys since we've got a little bit of ticker time, and this comes off an analyst action this morning. CRNC. This is a name that this is in the wheelhouse of like Nvidia saying that they were working with a company. The stock ran up when they mentioned that all the way to like $26, $27. The stock is sitting now back down, at least where it closed yesterday. It was like right around almost $14. There's an analyst action on this name, which brought my attention to it. And also, I like the fact that all that oomph, all that momentum is out of it. Cerence gains as Needham upgrades on voice assistant potential. Stock is up on that this morning. They put a price target of $16 on it, but
weak price target though.
Yeah,
Stock just went from 25 to 13. You're going on a limb and put an upgrade. And you only put a 16 PT on it. Kind of weak, but I like see what you see. The rounding. I like the setup. I wish that PT was like 30.
Right.
That would have changed things. They look at that, folks. They look at those PTs and say, well, I don't know, but I kind of do like the setup here. You showed obviously a huge move. You give it back most of the move. Now you've stopped and you had a pretty good day yesterday. Now you get an upgrade today. I don't have a position here. Would I try it for a trade? Maybe. I like it. I like the setup.
And then you want a high flyer. You ready for a high flyer?
Yes.
And so Joel's head's going to pop off when I mention this one because it's such a high flyer. But I want you to look at I'm going to say look at the volume too. This is also in the aerospace. Let's see if anybody knows. Like, besides Rocket Labs, there's another name that starts with an R. I don't know if anybody saw this name yesterday. Saw the volume in it. I don't know what to do with it, but I'll be watching it a bit. And that's I don't see anybody mention it. So it's RDW. This is Redwire Corporation.
Never traded it.
Me either. I've never traded it either. But again, I'm going to put it on the watch list. I'm going to put it on the, I believe it is aerospace, but look at the volume in this thing yesterday. It's a space. All I have is, I don't even know what they do, but it's something to maybe look into. It is a space infrastructure company. That's all I got. The company offers mission critical space solutions and high reliable components. So it's something to look into. And like, that's to me, like what's fun about investing and trading is like, okay, I'm going to look into this name. They're in Jacksonville. They employ 700 people, but I don't know what the news other than just it's a space company. So again, it's something to watch because that volume is the biggest volume it's had. It obviously was a humongous move, but would I buy it here? No, absolutely not. But maybe if it comes back in, back to like 17, $18, then it might be something, fruitful. So another name to watch. Yeah, RCAT was another one too, but RDW is new for me. So that's a new one and I'll be keeping tabs.
I wrote it down. What's RCAT? What's that do? Do we know?
RCAT is drones, I believe.
RCAT's drones.
Yeah.
That's come off here. I mean, it's got some support, but that story maybe has cooled off a little bit here. All these stocks are so interesting. I mean, these trades are wild. And again, when you're trading this stuff, remember, you can make money really fast, but you can lose money really fast too. So size appropriately, folks.
And the headline yesterday for this was space stocks skyrocket after Trump vows to pursue or manifest destiny into the stars. So there you go. There's the other story that we so you have the AI story and you got the space story. Those were the biggest movers that I saw yesterday.
And earnings kind of quiet down for the rest of the week, huh, Dennis? You were
Alcoa tonight. DFS, we already heard COF, which we didn't give any love to. They reported last night. So its brother-in-law, DFS Discover, is going to report tonight. Thursday, we're going to get Texas Instruments, American Airlines, General Electric, Freeport McMoran, if you like the copper plays. Friday, American Express, Verizon. So that's basically the headliners here for this week. Next week, we're going to get busier, and then obviously we're going to get a mega cap, Central there coming in, the 30th and that. So it's going to get really crazy in a hurry. But yeah, it's kind of slowing down here a little bit. Netflix was the highlight this week. Obviously got the big pop. Congratulations to the longs on Netflix. It's going to be an interesting day here. I would just say, if you're blindly chasing all these tech names, just be cautious here because, like an Oracle, it's had a really big move. This is an outsized move for the stock. Like, look back at the charts and look how many times the stock moves 30 points in 2 days. No. Maybe back when it got a mention, I remember it was something back in the summer had some pretty good moves, but this is not a normal move for Oracle. This is right here. This is AI driven and also by the bots in the market that just can't stop buying when they get, a mention here. I think it's a little bit overdone at this point.
Okay, any know I know some people like the imbalance talk yesterday.
Yeah, we can give those every day if you want. Oracle, I just say this, the one that stands out the most from a buy imbalance is Oracle. There's 856,000 to buy here, which is a huge buy imbalance. So it's going to open a lot higher. I think there may be a play here. I may do it. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet. Sometimes I don't know what I'm going to do. I may short the open on this thing. I may short the open. We'll see. We'll see where it opens. If it opens like 191, 192, 193, I'm probably going to try to short. If it opens 185, I'm probably not going to short it. 858,000 to buy. So it looks like everybody just has to be in Oracle this morning. When everybody has to be in, that's when I have to be out.
It will
Procter & Gamble did report earnings. We talked about that. I still have a little short on there. 51,000 to buy, although there's a lot in the book because it's projected to open at 165 right now. I'm hoping that fades after the open. There's a little bit of hope here. Maybe it's not going to work, but I've given it a shot. Just looking through. Other ones are pretty small, guys. Bank of America, 116,000 to buy. I'd be selling banks here in the strength here. I think it's AI day. I don't think banks are going to be where the place you want to be. And also, I just think I'm going to be playing short, the non-tech stocks just at the open, because if some non-tech stocks open higher, especially those ones in the QQQ, I think they could get a rug pull quickly here. So
I don't think you're going to get I don't think it's going to open above. I mean, the 190 area. I mean, there's got to be all those limits for the last 17 handles got to get done. So, I mean, they're probably stacking them at,
buy imbalance, Joey.
Yeah, I know. That's a tasty one here, but you're going to get your gap fill. Just stick to your discipline. If you got caught, or you bought this thing on the dip, and I know there's a lot of, the gap area is 188.93. So that's the gap fill. You've had your chance to do it here, so we'll see. Tomorrow's guest is going to be Jim Tassoni, CEO of Armor Wealth Strategies. He'll be joining us here. I know, Christian, you got to hop here. Dennis, if you want to hop too, I could just.
I'll stay for a bet.
Okay.
I'll stay to get you to the guest because the guest was late today and he said, "Can I come on at 9:10?" We're like, we could do an extended show here, so sure. Christian's got a hop.
I'm going to jump. Guys, have a great day.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay. Dennis, there was a ton of tickers here that came up.
Do them.
Yeah, for ticker time. And I haven't looked at it yet, but where do you think? Have you looked at Fubo lately?
No.
Okay. So it got all that love.
A lot of it back.
It did.
Yeah.
Is it not near $5?
Fubo is Fubar.
Sorry. Oh, wow.
Remember that movie? That was a bad one.
Oh.
Fubo, I don't know. It gapped up. It had to deal with Disney or whatever it was. I can't even remember what the headline was, from $1 to $6. And it's fading. It's still going down. Like, I like to wait until they stop going down. Like, what was that stock that Christian just said? Chad, help us out. The one that the native.
Oh, CRNC.
CRNC. I'm going to write that one down. You see how that one had a good candle? Like, that one had a nice candle yesterday. I think it's follow-through upgrade. That sets up better. So that's what you're waiting for. Like, Fubo's kind of similar chart, which is why I'm bringing it up. Obviously, nothing to do with each other. But it's still going down. It's still getting red candles. I don't want to buy the red candle. There's a gap. Like, the gap's huge. So I'm just trying to call it. Like, let's wait for a green candle at least.
Okay.
Travis giving us a shout out. I know Travis made some money with that Netflix call there. Nice job, T-Man.
Yep, Travis out
Shooting us
there.
10 bucks there, nice, and it was a good trade. So hopefully some other people got too. Nice trade, Travis.
ARM, we haven't talked about that stock much. That's trading up. You said that got a little bump. You got the Trump bump, right?
It did, yeah. They were talking,
Yeah.
and it's right involved with
Wow.
everything off the AI bump. It's AI day right now, morning. AI morning. We shouldn't say AI day because things can change. And if you start seeing a rug pull in some of these days, we know how quickly rugs can pull. That changes dynamics of it all here too. I mean, Joel and I are working, with Christian along with, doing some extended content with for you guys, where we're gonna, we're just teasing it a little bit here, but we got some cool stuff coming. Potentially in February, we're trying to launch something for February. We don't know if we're going to hit the launch day yet, but we're trying hard here. But the reason is because so much changes after
It
we
does.
leave.
It does.
Like
Yep.
from 8 to 9, we set you up for the day. But then at 9:30, 10 o'clock, sometimes things change. So wouldn't it be nice to be able to talk Joel and Dennis, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and Christian as well, to kind of pick his brain here a little bit more on different ideas here. So we're working on a product for you guys here. It's going to be awesome. Stay tuned.
All right. You know what? Our guest is here, Dennis. So if you want to hop, I know you got
I'll stay with Kevin for a few minutes. I got to hop eventually here. I got to get out, by like 9:10, 9:12.
All right, I'll let you go at him first here.
Yeah, I'll go at Kevin.
Yep, we have our guest, Kevin Merritt, Managing Director over there at Wedbush Securities. Mr. Merritt, how you doing today? Thanks for joining us here on Pre-Market Prep. Kevin Merritt, Managing Director over there at Wedbush Securities. Loving the animal spirits in the markets.
Hi, Joel. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Kevin. Dennis Dick here as well. Thanks for coming in here. I just want to know, are you watching all this Trump stuff? Because, man, is he pushing stocks around here? I mean, from the Trump coin launching, on the weekend to like getting in pressers with Sam Altman and, coming in with Larry Ellison. I mean, this president is going to be very vocal, and he is going to push price around here. Like at Wedbush, are they just watching what Trump's doing all the time here? Do you got to really pay attention to this stuff, or is this stuff just noise to you?
We're very closely paying attention to the stuff and trying to parse out what we think is real and actionable, and what is more meant for headline consumption. So, we're at our heart, we're a bottoms-up shop, but I think at the moment, policy initiatives really matter. So we're very, very closely watching it all. On the immigration front, the AI front, tariffs, taxation, et cetera, et cetera.
Can you talk thoughts on the tariffs so far? Yeah. Because we don't have a lot of clarity here yet. He's given us, no tariffs on day one, which the market applauded because the dollar sold off. But, he did mention maybe February 1st, looks like Mexico and Canada. He mentioned a little bit with China last night, the potential there, but we don't have anything concrete here yet. What are your thoughts first, just on if, he does get really, heavy into tariffs, and two, what are the market implications for that?
I do think structurally China will be the big focus. You'll have this study group, they'll play out over a few months, but that'll be the key focal area, in my opinion. And you'll see continued friendshoring, reshoring, et cetera, dynamics play out in the next couple of years. On a short-term tactical basis, I think he's trying to secure some wins with Canada and Mexico, perhaps exploit Trudeau's weakness, and then move on to the bigger fish in the coming months, most notably China.
So there's 25% on Mexico and
Canada. I'm worried about it because I'm Canadian.
Yeah. Yep. You're covering a lot of the big stocks here, and a lot of them are in with in the technology group. But one that's not is Wingstop here, and boy, oh boy, this one. Are you trying to buy the dip on this one, Kevin, or are you negative on it?
We want to buy the dip. It's one that we like a lot structurally, and now it's hit a small pothole in the road in the last couple of months. And there have been a few of these over the years, and we think this is just another good buying opportunity. As a reminder, It's one that we've liked for a while. They've got one of the most open-ended growth opportunities from a unit point of view. They've got great unit economics. They've got the wing cost and margin dynamics under control, which was not the case a couple of years ago. So this is actually one that we recently highlighted, our analyst Nick Setien, as one that we like a lot for 25. So very, very much in the bull camp on that one.
Okay.
How do we differentiate? Just a general question in the industry here, because there's so many places, like even in my small town, there's like 3 different wing shops here. What's their strategic edge? Like over, like I have Wing House in town. There's like Wild Wings. There's obviously Buffalo Wild Wings, which is everywhere. What's the strategic edge at Wingstop that makes them different from the others?
I think quality of the product, the price point, and then the ease of accessibility with the delivery, loyalty apps, et cetera. There's certainly geographies where they'll do better or worse competitively, and it's not a winner take all, but it would be the things I just highlighted. And then from a growth point of view, they've got a couple thousand units. There's substantial room for them to run domestically plus internationally.
Another one here. Let's take a look at Lending Club. You talked about that on the last time you were on the show here. Any thoughts on LC?
Consistent with what I said last time. I think you'll see an improvement in the regulatory and funding environments, and I'd say that is one that is poised to come out the other side in good shape.
This just turn into rates then, in inflation expectations for the Fed in 2025.
I agree with the market directionally that growth will remain solid, inflation will remain a tiny bit sticky, and all else equal, that will slow the pace of rate cuts. We're pricing not much of anything at this point. Could that be a bit too conservative? Maybe. But I do think it is directionally correct relative to, not too long ago when we were pricing in, 150 plus basis points. And I would just say, I know that causes some consternation, but I feel like that's the problem we'd rather have. If we were having this conversation in August, the dialogue was more focused on the downside risks. And so I'd rather be in the place that we're in today.
All right. Well, a couple more here before you let you go. Analysts been ganging up on Apple here ahead of their earnings report on the 30th. That's a significant move here, 40-point sell-off here in Apple. Is Apple finally going to turn the corner here after this big drop, or more downside for Apple?
I think in the very near term, you could have a mixed set of unit results. But if we look out over the balance of 25 and into 26, we still really like the stock as a way to play consumer AI adoption. They're kind of sitting in the catbird seat with a captive audience and lots of innovation in the App Store. And so there's a bunch of names, as you know, Joel, that we like on the enterprise side to play that trend, but within consumer specifically, I really like Apple's positioning.
Okay. Anything you're negative on?
We are a bit cautious on the home builder group currently, given the state of where mortgage rates are and the affordability challenges that persist, and the fact that the home builders have had to use rate buy downs as a way to grease the wheels and get some degree of volume moving, which hits gross margin. And back to what we touched on a moment ago, if the rate backdrop is approximately correct, that those problems are likely to persist. Now, on the flip side, we do really like that group structurally, on a multi-year basis, given the undersupply of housing. So I think there is a very compelling growth story over a 5-year basis, but in the very near term, the picture is kind of muddied.
Okay. All right. We're going to wrap.
One more. Just let's go back just to the Magnificent Seven, because we know Apple obviously has been lagging here to a certain extent. It's like the certain stocks, and obviously, you have Netflix really popping up overnight here. What about Microsoft? Because Microsoft has been a laggard here as well. It's starting to show a little bit of life. Get some mention from Trump last night and during the presser there. Is there a turnaround story here? Because not that it was ever a bad story, but it's just been kind of hanging out doing nothing for the last 5 or 6, actually for the last year, really. If we go back, we were in April last year, we were at the same price. Is this eventually going to start to pick up on the AI story? What are your thoughts, Microsoft?
I like it structurally, and I think you just put it well. It's taken a bit of a pause the last 6 to 12 months. It's still one of the best structural growth stories to play cloud and AI adoption, both on the enterprise and consumer sides. And I think it remains one of the best growth stories in the market. You had a period where perhaps it was too loved. It needed to digest some expectations and what have you. But from here, I think the setup is good.
Okay. Kevin Merritt, Managing Director over there at Wedbush Securities, joining us here on Pre-Market Prep. Jim Tassoni tomorrow. Kevin, thanks for joining us, and we'll get you on again next month.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right. All right, folks. Dennis, that's it. Kept you overtime, 9:16. Everyone.
Yeah, quantum stocks getting hit here just a little bit right now. Shout out there to Frank, who just told us about that. If we look, just at some of the leaders here, IONQ just selling off a little bit. I'm not sure if something was said, but it started selling off. RGTI is another one here. Bring that one up to you. You'll just see the recent little sell-off here in the last few minutes here. So I'm not sure the headline here. Again, we're doing a live show. If you know the headline, let us know if there is one. But just showing a little bit of weakness here in the last 5 or 10 minutes. Just keep an eye.
You know what? They're both around unchanged. So, keep an eye on that. They both had a nice run yesterday. People looking for the 2-day moves. Like, want to get out at the mark. So interesting opens for those stocks. So that's it on this one.
Over 1 billion shares to buy now in Oracle here. So just keep that in mind too. Again, I think there's a possibility this could open up near the highs. Again, if you're trading these things, one more thing. Like, when I say I'm short the open in Oracle, on these types of trades, what do I want, Joel? What do I want of these types of trades?
Instant gratification.
Yep, immediate gratification, instant gratification. You don't want this to open like 191 and then it's 193, like it going, because then you've got this gap and go scenario here, which is going to probably, maybe, it's highly unlikely it's going to fill a 17-point gap here today. But I kind of want to see it open, maybe has a little blip there, but then start to flush in the first minute or two. If it doesn't show me that, I probably say, okay, it didn't work, I'm out. Something you taught me, and this is, one thing that we're going to talk about in our new product too, so much strategy we're going to talk. But I mean, something you taught me when we first started in 1999 trading together is like highs and lows. A lot of stocks, open at their high of the day or their low of the day, like within a nickel of it. So, I mean, there's so many opportunities where, you're trading that opening print. You get a good price, and then the stock starts going away. You may have just shorted the high of the day, or you may have just bought the low of the day. I mean, those are always, the opportunities that I'm trying to go against when I'm trading the open. So just keep that in mind if you're trading. If you're fading huge moves, you don't want to see them continue after the open. You want to see like, boom, opens. It's like, okay, everybody got in at the open that wanted to get in. Now there's no, buyers to follow through. And that's the opening flush trade. So on this case, I'd be looking for the opening flush. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you get out and you live to trade another day. Take your loss and move on.
You mean it opens by the high or low of the day by an eighth or a teeny?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were back 8s and TDs. Joel started trading, it was 8s. I started trading, it was TDs. 16ths, we talked TDs. Remember, it was like 15th, 8th, 3 TDs, quarter, 5 TDs, 3 8s, 7 TDs, half, all the way up 7 TDs, 3 8, or 5 8s, 11 TDs, 3 quarters. We did the whole thing going up there. But yeah, I know. And then they went to pennies and we're like, holy crap, I don't even know where to put my order. It's 100 increments here. It was all confusing. And you're getting,
and now they're doing sub pennies, sub
pennies and everything else, yeah. Blast in the past, folks. We love you guys. Chat, keep coming. Like we said, we got something cooking for you. Keep coming. Keep listening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks for joining us. Great crowd here today on Pre-Market Prep.